During dinner, my mom revealed that my brother isn't my father's son. Dinner was supposed to be simple that night. Roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, laughter, and a rare sense of peace in our house. But that peace didn't last long. My mother, with her trembling hands and glassy eyes, decided that tonight, after more than 25 years, was the perfect time to tell us the truth that would destroy everything we believed about our family. I still remember how the fork slipped from my father's hand when she said the words. "Mark," she whispered, her voice cracking, "I need to tell you something about David." David, my older brother, froze mid-bite. My father frowned, confused but calm. "What do you mean about David?" And then, with tears streaming down her face, my mother said it. "He's not your son." The sound of that sentence shattered the air like glass. My father's face went pale. I swear I could hear his heartbeat pounding through the silence. At first, I thought it was a joke, some twisted attempt at honesty gone wrong. But the way my mother stared at the table told me she wasn't joking. David slowly put down his fork. "What are you talking about, Mom?" he said, his voice barely holding together. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she took a deep breath, as if she'd been preparing this confession for years. "Before I met your father, I was seeing someone else. It ended badly. I found out I was pregnant right after he left." My father's chair scraped against the floor as he stood up. "Who?" he demanded, his voice trembling with rage. "Who is he, Linda?" She quivered. "It doesn't matter. He's gone. He never wanted David, but you loved him as your own, and I was too afraid to ruin that." David looked between them, lost. "So, my whole life, I've been living a lie?" She tried to reach for his hand, but he pulled away. "I didn't lie to you," she said softly. "You are my son. You just have two fathers, one who gave you life and one who gave you love." But no one was listening anymore. My father's breathing had turned heavy. He walked away from the table without a word, disappearing into the hallway. The silence that followed was suffocating. Later that night, I found my dad sitting alone in the garage, staring at an old family photo. He didn't cry, at least not in front of me, but his face looked hollow. "Did you know?" he asked me quietly. I shook my head. He nodded, still looking at the picture. "You know, I always wondered why he didn't look much like me. I told myself it was genetics. I told myself love was enough." Then he whispered, almost to himself, "Maybe love isn't always..." That sentence broke me. The next morning, my brother was gone. He left a note on the kitchen counter. "Don't look for me. I need to figure out who I am." Mom spent the next few days crying. She said she had no idea how to find the man who was David's biological father, that he'd moved away decades ago, started a new life, maybe even had more children. But my dad didn't care. He barely spoke to her. He slept in the guest room. Every word between them became a quiet war. One night, I heard them fighting, the kind of fight that sounds final. "You built our marriage on a lie," she said. "I built it on love." "You built it on fear," he snapped back. Then came the sound of something breaking, a glass, maybe, a frame, and the door slamming. Weeks passed. David didn't come home. He didn't call. Mom stopped cooking dinner altogether. Dad worked longer hours, or maybe he just didn't want to be home. I tried to be the glue that held us together, but every time I looked at my mom, I saw guilt. Every time I looked at my dad, I saw betrayal. And every time I thought of my brother, I wondered if I'd ever see him again. Then one afternoon, I got a message on Facebook. It was from David. It said, "I found him." Just those two words, and my heart started racing. I called immediately, but he didn't answer. Hours later, he finally replied. He'd met the man. his biological father. According to David, the man was shocked, but not surprised. He admitted that he knew about the pregnancy back then, but chose to walk away. He said he wasn't, quote, ready to be a father. Now he had a wife, 2 kids, and a picture-perfect life, and he didn't want to lose it. He told me not to contact him again, David said. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I don't belong anywhere. When he came back home a week later, everything was different.
Good.
He didn't hug Mom. He barely looked at Dad. At dinner, the same dinner that everything fell apart on, he finally spoke. I met him, he said. He's rich, successful, happy, and he wants nothing to do with me. Mom started crying again.
Good.
David, I'm so sorry. But he didn't even flinch. I spent my whole life thinking Dad was my hero, and now I realized he was, because he stayed when he didn't have to. My dad didn't respond, but his eyes glistened. It was the first time in weeks I saw any emotion other than pain. Over time, something shifted. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but understanding. My dad still struggled with betrayal, but I could see him softening. He'd still leave early and come home late, but sometimes I'd catch him sitting on the couch next to Mom, quiet but present. David moved into his own apartment but visited on Sundays. We'd eat together again, cautiously, like walking on glass. No one mentioned that night. No one dared to. But we all knew that dinner had changed us forever.
Great.
A year later, Mom got sick. Cancer. And suddenly, all those years of secrets didn't matter anymore. David was there every day, so was Dad. I watched them, the 3 of them, finally sharing quiet, painful honesty. On her last night, Mom took David's hand and said, I didn't tell you because I was ashamed, but you were always loved. Always. Then she turned to Dad, and you were always my home. He kissed her forehead and whispered, you should have trusted that.
Good.
She smiled faintly, and that was the last thing she ever did. After the funeral, David and Dad hugged for the first time in years. It wasn't perfect, nothing would ever be again, but it was real. Sometimes truth destroys things, but sometimes it sets you free, even if it takes a lifetime to understand it. Now, every Sunday, we still have dinner together. It's quieter, sadder, but honest. And every time I see my father and brother talking, I realize something my mother never understood. Love doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be true. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Trying Again, where real stories remind us that truth can hurt, but it can also heal.